So same thing here, example number 4. Here also value of k needs to be found such that unity feedback system is always stable. Okay, so here this is unity in negative feedback system. We just form the characteristic equation. So then we got this particular characteristic equation. Okay, and then we have formed the route table and we just find out the value of k, range of k, so that system will become stable. Okay, so there is a shortcut method also. A third order characteristic equation is there. Okay, what is the shortcut method? You can apply that in particular MCQ exams. The shortcut method I can put here. Okay, so this is the inner product and this is the outer product. Okay, so how to find out, so what is the condition so that system will become stable? Okay, so this inner product should be greater than outer product. So what is the inner product here? 7 into 6, 42. And what is the outer product? K into 1, K. Okay, so for system stability, K should be less than 42. Okay, for a stable system. For a marginally stable system, K should be 42. Okay, and if you increase the value of K greater than 42, system will become unstable system. Okay, so this shortcut you need to apply if there is a third order equation, third order characteristic equation, only for third order. Okay, so this shortcut method you can use in competitive exams. Okay, the example number 5 is same like that, only let us see example number 5. So here the open loop transfer function of negative feedback system is given, and they have asked that find out the value of k and b such that system oscillate at angular frequency of 2 radian per second. So what is given here? The open loop transfer function is given. Okay, g of s into h of s, that is equal to k into s plus 1 upon s cube plus b s square plus s plus 1. Okay, and what other parameter they have given? They have given the angular frequency of oscillation. So that is omega n. That is what? 2 radian per second. Okay, so this thing is given. And what we need to find out? We need to find out the value of k and b such that system oscillate at this frequency, this angular frequency. So we need to find out k max here or k marginal here. Okay, so what we have done first, we have just formed the characteristic equation. So if so we have just formed the characteristic equation, we have simplified it, then we have used route table here. Okay, and or you can apply shortcut method. You can apply a shortcut method in competitive exam. So what is the shortcut method? So this is this is the inner product and this is the outer product. So b into k plus 1. So this is the inner product should be greater than k plus 1 into 1. So that should be greater than. So B should be greater than what? 1 for stable system. So we find out this value. B should be greater than 1 for a stable system. What happened here? Color. Okay. Stable system. Okay. And when B is equal to 1, that system will become marginally stable system. But you only, one thing you remember here, you can apply this technique in competitive exam only. For a subjective paper, you need to solve this by using a route table. Okay. So that is the thing here. So B is equal to 1. So we find out the value of B, right? So here you just need to take these two, bs square plus k plus 1 into s term as an auxiliary equation. Or if you form a route table, you can use row of previous row of 0. So that is this row s square into s raised to 0. Or if you want to directly calculate, you can take this inner term as a auxiliary equation. So here this is auxiliary equation, bs square plus k plus 1. Sorry, not that. This is the, this term you can take as a auxiliary equation. Okay, bs square plus k plus 1. So here also that thing is there. Auxiliary equation is what? bs square plus k plus 1. Okay, and in that bs square plus k plus 1, we find it out b is equal to 1. So you put b is equal to 1, and we will get the natural frequency of oscillation omega n is equal to root of k plus 1. So that omega n is given, that is a 2 radian per second. So you can use that. Omega n is 2 radian per second. So if you put that into this formula, you will get value of k is equal to 3. Okay, so you can apply shortcut method as well as route table to find out the auxiliary equation. But I normally for third order equation only this method is applicable, a shortcut method. I normally used to prefer the route table because if higher order systems are there, so route table only will give you the auxiliary equation. Okay, so have you understood this problem? Any doubt here? Can we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ठीक है. So let us see one concept here, transportation lag. So generally what happens if you consider any digital circuit, okay? So this is a digital circuit. Now each gate has some propagation delay, right? So if you change any input at this input terminal, it will take certain amount of time to reach at output F, right? Okay. So we call that as a propagation delay, right? So if you consider a digital circuit, we call that term as the propagation delay. And if we generalize that thing for a control system, that thing is called as a transportation lag. Okay. So what is mean by transportation lag? It is a time taken by system. Oh, sorry. It is time taken by signal to travel through the system. Okay. For example, if this is the input signal x of t, that is a unit step signal. So at the output state, here you can see at t is equal to 0, there is an instant change from 0 to this particular value, for example 1. Okay, there is an instant change from 0 to 1, but that change will not get reflected instantaneously, simultaneously at the output side. Okay, so it will take some time to reflect that change. So here we consider that time is t, capital T. Okay, so this time t is called as a transportation lag. So if you want to find out the output expression, that output expression will be y of t is equal to x of t minus t. Okay, so if you convert this into Laplace domain using a Laplace transform, so you will get this transfer function. Okay, e raised to minus st. Okay, so this is a transfer function of transportation lag. Okay, this term, transfer function of transportation lag. Okay, so we have seen Raoult criteria's different cases, how to determine the stability using a Raoult table. Then we have seen conditionally stable system. So for certain value of k, we found that the system is stable. If you cross the value of k, system will become unstable. Okay, and for a certain value of k, it will become marginally stable. So for that purpose, what we have done, we have just used auxiliary equation to find out the natural frequency of oscillation when k is a marginal k. So that thing we have seen. Okay, so let us see the limitation of Raoult criteria. The first limitation is that it doesn't tell the pole location. It only say by using a Raoult criteria, we only determine that will the pole lie in LHP, RHP, or on the imaginary axis. Okay, we don't know the exact pole location. We can't get the exact pole location using a Raoult table. Okay, that is the first limitation of Raoult criteria. Then second is that the coefficient of characteristic equation must be constant. Okay, so that is obvious because we are performing this analysis on LTI systems, right? Linear time invariant systems. So that is obvious. Okay. So if you take this term e raised to x, right, in finite series term. So as we know, this is the series of e raised to x. So if you take e raised to minus st, that series will be 1 minus st plus, like this way. Okay. So now in transfer function, if there is a transportation lag, there will be e raised to minus st term. Okay. So definitely in practical system, there is a e raised to minus st term because there is a certain amount of propagation delay in the system. So definitely in transfer function, this particular term e raised to minus st will come. Okay. Now, if this term comes, how to solve the Raoult table? Okay, that is a problem here. So you can just use the approximation. So in the approximation, first two term will come, 1 minus st. You only consider these two terms and then solve the Raoult table. Okay, so this is an exceptional case in this particular Raoult table. Okay, so let us see one problem here. So you will understand if transfer function consists of transportation lag element, how to solve the Raoult table and how to determine the system stability. Okay, so let us see this example number 1. So here unity gain feedback system has an open loop transfer function. This k into e raised to minus s. This is not a 5, this is s. Okay, e raised to minus s upon s into s square plus 5s plus 9. Okay, so this is a transfer function. And what they have asked, determine the value of k for a closed loop system to remain stable. Means they have asked about the range of k for which system will remain in stable condition. So let us form the characteristic equation first. So 1 plus g of s into h of s is equal to 0. So as we know, if unity gain negative feedback system is there, you can directly add numerator term into denominator to form the characteristic equation. Okay, so no need to find out closed loop transfer function and all those things. So this is a characteristic equation. Now instead of e raised to minus s, I have just inserted 1 minus s here. Okay, because t is 1 here, sampling time is 1, right? Delay time is 1 second, t is 1. Okay, so after doing this, I simplified this characteristic equation and just form the route table, and I have finded out the value of k for which system is stable. So what is the value of k? K should be between 0 to 45/6. Okay, and what is the value of marginal k, that is, or max k, k max or k marginal here, that is 45/6. Okay, so like this way you can solve such a problems. Okay, so have you understood? Can you proceed? Hello, any doubt here? You can ask me. If there is any doubt, you can ask me here. Any doubt here?
No, sir.
Okay, ठीक है then. So let us move to the next topic. Okay, the next concept is what? Relative stability. So what is mean by the relative stability? For example, if you consider an example of any examination, right? So if there is a 100-mark examination, about 25, if I consider there is a passing mark, 25 as a passing mark, so about 25 all student will get pass. Okay, and below 25, above or equal to 25 all the student will get pass, or below 25 fail. Okay, so it is just like a binary classification. System is stable or unstable. Okay, but sometimes what happens, this is not sufficient, right? Because even if you consider examination system as a example, so in that there are some student in distinction, right? We need to classify further. So there will be distinction, first class, right? Okay. So if you say that if certain student got distinction or certain student got first class, right? So you can just determine the academic performance of these two students using this index. Okay, so we can say that these two students come in a pass category, right? These two systems are stable system, but the fellow who got a distinction is more relatively stable as compared to the first class student. Okay, so like that way, some systems are if we consider the stability with respect to first class student, distinction student is more relatively stable as compared to the first class student. Okay, so same example you can apply in a control systems. Okay, so there is a concept called relative stability. Okay, so if we talk about a control system, so system whose poles are farther from the origin is more stable. So here our decision boundary is what in S domain, that is this imaginary axis, right? So if pole lies in the LHP, system will be stable. If pole lies in the RHP, system will become unstable. Okay. So what is the decision boundary here? This imaginary axis. Okay. But now here you can see two systems are there. System 1 is having pole P1 and system 2 is having pole P2. Okay, and now we need to compare these two systems. Okay, so as we know that time constant is equal to 1 upon mod of pole location. So first system time constant is 1 upon P1 and second system time constant is 1 upon P2. Okay. Now you tell me which system will be having the less transient time. Oh, sorry, transient time, or we can say rise time. Which system will be or fall time? Okay, so I will just mention it as a transient time. So which system will be having a less transient time? Out of this, P1 or P2? Hello? I'm not getting. Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So which system will be fast, we can say?
Sir, P2 only. System having
because the time constant of P2 system is less, right? Okay. If you consider a charging condition, so it will take less time to charge. Okay. If you consider discharging condition, it will take less time to discharge because time constant of P2 is less than the time constant of P1, right? So transient, this thing is called as a transient, right? We have seen this. So this is a transient term. So transient term of the system 2 will decay faster. Okay, so we can say that this system will reach to stable condition early than the P1 system. So P2 system will reach to the stable condition early than the P2 system. Okay, so we can say that P2 is more relatively stable as compared to the P1. Okay, so this is a more relatively stable. Here I have mentioned. Okay. So how to judge a relative stability using a Routh criteria? So how you can use a Routh criteria to determine the relative stability? Have you understood the concept of relative stability? So we can proceed. Any doubt here? Have you understood? Can we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us see this. How to judge the relative stability using a Routh criteria. So as we know that Routh criteria tells about the pole location. So the pole lie in the LHP or RHP, number of poles lying in the LHP and RHP. So here if you consider, now I want the decision boundary, this Z is equal to 0 when S is equal to minus A instead of this imaginary axis to determine the system stability or instability. Okay, so this is the boundary I want so that I can compare the system with this reference. Okay, so here you can see S is equal to Z minus A. So when Z is equal to 0, S will be equal to minus A. This is the decision boundary, right? So if you consider this, this is a system 2 and this is a system 1. So with this, we can say that system 1 is a relatively stable system, okay? Because it lie in the right hand, it lie in the LHP of this decision boundary, okay? This decision boundary. So we can say that system 1 is relatively stable system. And here we can say that relatively unstable system. Okay, relatively, even if that system is stable, but that is a relatively unstable. Okay, so that is the thing here. Okay, so let us consider one example. So you will get idea that how to find out the relatively stable system. How to find out system is relatively stable or not. Okay, so let us see one example here. So characteristics of closed loop system is given. This S cube plus 7S square plus 25S plus 39. Okay, and we need to determine the number of roots which are lying on the left half side of the sigma is equal to -1, means s is equal to -1. Okay, so we need to find out. So here our decision boundary is what? This is the decision boundary -1. Okay, and we need to find out the number of roots which are lying on the left hand side. So here, okay, in this region, how many poles are there? We need to find out. So what you just need to put s is equal to z minus 1, because here a is what? 1. A is 1. This. Okay, so you just need to put s is equal to z minus 1 in the characteristic equation of the system. Okay, so this is the characteristic equation. You just need to put that s is equal to z minus 1. We need to solve that. So after the simplification, we got z cube plus 4z square plus 14z plus 13 is equal to 0. Okay, so this characteristic equation we got. So we just form the route table. Okay, so after forming the route table, we find it out that the first column of the route table is positive. So we can say that system is stable system. And here you can see what is the order of this particular characteristic equation. Order of this characteristic equation in terms of z. In terms of z, order of this characteristic equation is 3, right? So number of poles on the left hand side of the sigma is equal to -1 is 3. Okay, have you understood? Any doubt here? So if you draw, so here you can see. So this is a -1. Okay, so 3 pole will lie into this LHP, 3 poles. What is the main order of the characteristic equation here? 3 only. Okay, so we just change the reference, okay, by putting s is equal to z minus 1, and then we have solved the characteristic equation. Okay, and after that we find out that this system is stable when we consider the decision boundary -1. Okay, no sign change in the first column, right? No sign change in the first column. So we can say that number of poles to the left of sigma is equal to -1 or s is equal to -1 is 3. Okay, understood? Have you understood this problem?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ठीक है then. Now the next topic is, so we have covered route array, route table. Okay, so that is the one technique which uses a characteristic equation to determine the stability of system. Okay, so another technique is root locus diagram. So what is mean by root locus? Do you have any idea about root locus? Okay, so this technique is also used to determine the stability of system as a value of k gets changed or value of any system parameter gets changed. So this is a time domain technique. It is important. This is important. So this is a time domain technique. Why it is called as a time domain technique? Because generally root locus is plotted on S plane. Okay, and if you vary the value of k, okay, the pole location will get changed and that root locus will show that pole location. Okay, that's a time domain analysis technique. Okay, so what is mean by root locus? Locus of roots of characteristic equation. Okay, as a certain parameters of system is varied, that may be a gain, that may be a other parameter of the system. Okay, variable parameter. So that what is the roots of the characteristic equation? Roots of the characteristic equation are the closed loop poles. Okay. So what root locus is showing, when you change the value of k, as you change the value of k, if you decrease, if you increase or decrease, okay, the closed loop pole location will change. Okay, so pole location will get changed, and that locus, as the pole location will change, that locus of roots or that locus of closed loop pole, how the closed loop pole is traversing, is shown by this root locus diagram. Okay, so pole location will get changed, and this particular locus will be shown by the root locus diagram. Okay, so it is a locus path traced by the roots of the characteristic equation. Okay, so what is a characteristic equation? If you consider a negative feedback system, so that is a 1 plus g of s into h of s equal to 0. Okay, so this is a characteristic equation. Now if we just simplify it, g of s into h of s is equal to -1. Okay, so now you tell me this g of s into h of s is which transfer function? It is an open loop transfer function, right? G of s into h of s is an open loop transfer function. Okay, we have seen now what is meant by open loop transfer function. So root locus technique is applied on the open loop transfer function, okay, of the system. Even if they have given you the closed loop transfer function, you just need to form the open loop transfer function and then you need to plot the root locus. So this root locus technique is applied on the open loop transfer function of the system. So here. Okay, that is the main point here. So now if you see this condition, g of s into h of s equal to -1. Okay, so we can just replace that with this k into f of s. So we can just put magnitude outside or gain outside like that way. K into f of s is equal to -1. So if you take a magnitude of this, you will get that magnitude will be equal to 1. And this is called as a magnitude condition. Okay, you will see what is the use of this. And if you find out the angle of this term, that will be 2n plus 1 into pi, because -1 will be what? If you see angle of this, e raised to j pi, right? Okay, so e raised to j pi or odd terms of pi. So here angle is what? Pi. And even if you take odd multiples of pi, that will give you -1. Okay, that's why the angle condition is 2n plus 1 into pi. So this is the angle condition. Okay, so why this angle condition is required? Okay, so any point which is on root locus, any point, for example, if S1 is on root locus or S2 is on root locus, these 2 points must satisfy the angle condition. Okay, so if you find out the angle at this particular S2 location, so you should get odd multiples of pi, odd multiples of 180. Okay, so for example, in problem they may ask that find out that this particular S1 is lie on root locus or not. Okay, so you can just use the angle condition. You can put S1 in open loop transfer function and you can just check the angle of S1. Okay, so if angle of S1 is multiple of 180, you can say that this particular value of S is lying on root locus. Okay, So value of S that satisfies these conditions are said to be on root locus. Okay. So if angle condition is sufficient, so that why there is a need of magnitude condition is there. Okay. So magnitude condition is used to find out the value of K at any given point on a root locus. Okay. So magnitude condition will be used to find out the value of K, and angle condition is used to determine that particular point is lying on a root locus. When we see the problems, you will get the clear idea about this. Okay.